I've spent a lot of time in my first year on this job listening and having conversations all across our movement. Basically, I'm hearing two things. The first is this. Longer tenured staff are deeply concerned about the level of theological formation across our movement in our staff. Even though they don't use the words theological formation, they recognize this lack of integration between what staff believe and how they live and serve and work. The second observation that emerged from my year of listening is this. Theology has an image problem. Theology has a bad reputation. It's seen as being something crusty or really out of touch or a hindrance to actually doing the real work of ministry on campus. InterVarsity's perception of theology must move in a more positive direction before there's any true openness to the deeper work of theological formation. Theology needs a marketing team or a PR firm, or actually what theology needs is a team of winsome ambassadors. Ambassadors who represent theology well. Winsome ambassadors who can testify to the life-changing power that infuses our ministries and our lives as we allow the Holy Spirit to transform us by the renewing of our minds. Enter the Theology Guild. The Theology Guild is going to result in two primary outcomes. The first is a series of theological formation mini-courses based on InterVarsity's doctrinal basis for use all across the movement. And the second outcome is 24 young staff who have been mentored in their own theological formation to think deeply and communicate effectively about the intersection of theology and mission. 24 winsome ambassadors for theology. So the Guild will produce both content resources and human resources. And both outcomes will emerge out of the Guild's 8 theology working groups that are mentoring communities based on study, reflection, dialogue, and action learning. The working groups will foster theological thinking, theological communication, and integration between theology and mission, theological formation. Both artisans and apprentices will experience transformation through the renewing of their minds as they work together on the mini-courses. All the individuals involved will in turn become ambassadors, in a sense, for theological formation in their own campus and area and regional contexts. This is why the artisans must be more than simply theologically astute individuals. They also must demonstrate experience in mentoring and coaching and developing other staff. Both theological acuity and intentional mentoring stand at the center of the intended outcomes for the Guild. Either one of these qualities, in the absence of the other, misses the ultimate commitment to theological formation as the goal for staff discipleship in the area of theology. We have no guarantee that any resources that we produce at the national level will get widespread traction or use. But the chances for use are greater if the resources are made by field staff for field staff. When I accepted my present job in the Discipleship Initiative, I thought a lot about stickiness. Actually, to be honest, I worried about stickiness, and I prayed about stickiness. And as I've listened across our movement this year to both the scope of the problem in discipleship of staff, the area of theology, and the nature of theology's reputation, I've come to see that the apprentices really are the key to creating stickiness for the products of the Theology Guild. The apprentices will keep us grounded. They will keep us in touch with what works in the field. Apprentices are young, they are articulate, and they are winsome. They must be winsome communicators. Their voices and their experiences and their influence will shape the design and the production of the mini-courses. So while the artisans will keep us firmly within healthy theological bounds, it is the apprentices who will help us express sound theology in compelling and practical ways. Their presence on the project in numbers large enough to represent the broad swath of our staff team will be absolutely critical to creating the stickiness we all desire that will be attached to the Theology Guild and its work.